Welcome to the glamorous world of labor and delivery night shifts, where the coffee is burnt, the lighting is aggressive, and sleeping when the baby sleeps is a lie told by people who hate you. You start your Monday at 6 p.m. by staring at your reflection and wondering which life choices led you to a career centered around bodily fluids and screams. You've had exactly 4 hours of sleep, interrupted twice by a telemarketer, and once by a neighbor's leaf blower. Your breakfast is a cold slice of pizza and a prayer. You're not just tired. You're vaguely vibrating on a cellular level tired. You roll into the unit and get report from the day shift, who look annoyingly refreshed and have the audacity to talk about their dinner plans. Your first patient is Crystal, who arrived 3 minutes ago and is already demanding a water birth in a facility that barely has functioning sinks. She has a 20-page birth plan printed in papyrus font. It explicitly bans negative energy, which is unfortunate because that's basically your entire personality until the caffeine kicks in. You smile, but inside you're already calculating how many cc's of Pitocin it'll take to get her moving. By 11 p.m., the full moon energy has officially arrived, even if the moon is a crescent. Every bed is full. The triage area looks like a crowded airport terminal, and the residents are wandering around with the glazed eyes of Victorian orphans. You're juggling 3 active labors, one of whom thinks the epidural is optional, until she hits 7 centimeters and decides she actually wants to meet God. You're the gatekeeper of the good drugs, and suddenly, you're the most popular person in the building. The 2 a.m. slump hits like a freight train. This is the hour where medical decisions are made primarily by the part of your brain that still believes in magic. You're standing in a room catching a baby while the father passes out in the corner because he doesn't like blood. Sir, your wife is currently turning inside out. Please sit on the floor and stay out of the splash zone. You manage to finish the delivery without any accidental casualties, only to realize you haven't peed since the Obama administration. 4 a.m. is the twilight zone. The charting is a mountain of digital paperwork that asks the same question 6 different ways. Did the patient have a bowel movement? Does the patient feel supported? Does the nurse want to scream into a pillow? You're typing with one hand and eating a protein bar that tastes like compressed sawdust and sadness. The overhead lights are now actively mocking you, vibrating at a frequency that suggests the hospital is powered by the souls of exhausted healthcare workers. Shift change at 7 a.m. is a frantic race against the sun. You hand over your patients to a perky nurse named Tiffany who is wearing iron scrubs and smells like lavender. You smell like amniotic fluid and desperation. You stumble out to the parking lot, squinting at the daylight like a confused vampire. Driving home is a high-stakes game of don't close your eyes at the red light. You're pretty sure you saw a dragon in a Honda Civic, but it was probably just a hallucination. Home life is a psychological thriller. You walk through the door and your family is waking up, radiating morning person energy that feels like a personal attack. Your spouse asks how your day was while they pour a bowl of cereal. You try to explain the intricacies of a shoulder dystocia, but they just want to know where the remote is. You realize your social skills have degraded to the point where you can only communicate in grunt-like medical abbreviations. The blackout curtains are your only gods now. You tape them to the wall with the desperation of a conspiracy theorist because one sliver of sunlight is enough to ruin your entire existence. You lay in bed, but your brain is replaying the sound of fetal heart monitors. Bloop, bloop, bloop. You finally drift off, only for the mailman to knock on the door with a package that requires a signature. You consider opening the door in your mismatched pajamas and scaring him into a different career path. Tuesday night is a repeat performance, but with more swelling. Your ankles have disappeared, replaced by fleshy stumps that no longer fit in your expensive clogs. You spend 4 hours coaching a woman through pushing while her mother-in-law records the whole thing on an iPad, occasionally getting a close-up that no one requested. You've become an expert at dodging flying fluids with the grace of a Matrix character, all while maintaining a calm, I do this every day facial expression. The cafeteria is closed, so dinner is a bag of Cheez-Its from the vending machine and a lukewarm cup of water. You find yourself bonding with the janitor over the shared realization that humanity is mostly just a series of messes waiting to be cleaned up. A doctor snaps at you for a lab result that hasn't been run yet, and you spend 3 minutes in the supply closet imagining a world where you work in a library. A very quiet, baby-free library. By Wednesday, your internal clock is so broken it's basically an abstract painting. You wake up at 4 p.m. feeling like you've been hit by a truck carrying smaller trucks. You try to participate in normal life by going to the grocery store, but you're standing in the produce aisle staring at a grapefruit and trying to remember if you've ever seen one before. You realize you're still wearing your badge reel. People are looking at you like you're a ghost, which is fair. Back at the hospital, the chaos has leveled up. You've got a precipitous delivery in the hallway, which is just medical slang for the baby didn't want to wait for the bed. You're basically a glorified goalie at this point. The adrenaline spike is the only thing keeping your heart beating. Once the chaos settles, you have to document every second of it, because if it isn't charted, the baby technically doesn't exist and you worked for free. Thursday night is when the delirium really finds its stride. You and your coworkers start laughing at things that aren't funny, like a misplaced speculum or the way the word placenta sounds if you say it too many times. You've formed a trauma bond with the other night shifters that is stronger than most marriages. You share a secret stash of chocolate and take turns resting your eyes for 5 minutes in the break room, which actually just feels like 5 minutes of being dead. The final push to Friday morning feels like the climax of an epic movie, but with less budget and more puke. You've helped bring 6 new humans into the world tonight, and you're fairly certain you haven't seen your own children in 3 years. You're operating on pure muscle memory and the sheer spite of knowing that if you quit, you'd have to find a job where you can't wear pajamas to work. Spite is a powerful fuel. You get home on Friday and find a sink full of dishes. Your family is surprising you with a brunch outing. The thought of being in a loud restaurant with sunlight and people who don't understand the ST segment makes you want to cry. You politely decline, which they interpret as you being grumpy, but in reality, you are just a husk of a human being held together by dry shampoo and caffeine withdrawal. Saturday is spent in a post-shift coma. You wake up at 8 p.m., eat a bowl of pasta in the dark, and wonder what day it is. You check your phone and see 12 texts from people asking for medical advice for things that are definitely not related to labor. Does this look infected? No, Brenda, I catch babies. I don't look at your weird toe rash. Go to urgent care and leave my fever dream alone. Sundays are for resetting, which usually just means doing laundry and realizing you have no clean scrubs for Monday. You try to flip your schedule back to being a normal human, but your body is convinced that 3 a.m. is the perfect time for a 5-course meal and a deep cleaning of the bathroom. You sit on the couch and stare at the wall, mourning the person you used to be before you knew exactly what a ruptured membrane smelled like. The cycle is brutal, thankless, and occasionally gross, but then you remember that one moment where the room goes quiet and a new life takes its first breath. It's almost enough to make you forget the back pain and the 4 a.m. hallucinations. Almost. Then you see your paycheck and realize you're basically a high-stakes babysitter with a degree. You sigh, set your alarm for 5 p.m., and prepare to do it all over again. Labor and delivery is a wild ride that most people couldn't handle without a sedative. It takes a special kind of person to thrive in the dark, surrounded by screaming and miracle-making. If you've ever worked a shift that felt more like a survival horror game than a job, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go buy more blackout curtains and a gallon of espresso. Hey, thanks for surviving this shift with me. If you've ever felt like a zombie in scrubs or just enjoy a good medical roast, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more stories from the front lines of healthcare and home life chaos coming your way. Drop a comment below with your craziest night shift story. I promise I won't judge, mostly because I'm probably too tired to process it. See you in the next one.